Hello and welcome to Crafting with Kara. Today we got on the couch mahogany. I'll show her. Yeah, she's all bundled up. There, she's looking good. And I'm going to be talking today a little bit about my Stephan West Mystery blanket and how that all is going. Sorry, my bangs are doing weird things. I'm trying to grow them out. I also, since Christmas is coming, wanted to talk about a gift knit that I've made, as well as the Advent yarn that I've purchased, which is very exciting. So if you're excited about all that, then stick around. Yeah. So I will be knitting on my mystery knit along as we chat. But before I do that, I'm at the end of a row, so I wanted to show off a little. Here I've got what's going on. So if you don't recall, I'm making a blanket instead of a shawl, which means I use DK weight. It's very heavy, which is so fun, like carrying it around. I have my biggest project bag and yet it's still not big enough. So we've got this section and this one. So that's week 1 and week 3 right there. And then we've got all these wavy bits and then the basket weave. And then you can already start to see the parts where I started just doing my own thing. So there's the basket weave there. There's these big stripes of stockinette just to show off those gorgeous hand-dyed colors. And then I did some painting triangles here. This I only did up until the wavy section ended, which still was a very long time. So you can see where the wave gets the edge. And then I started thinking about the border as Stephen talked about. And he talked about brioche sections for vertical lines, as well as garter as an option for horizontal. If you've watched the previous ones, I thought, why not do both? And so I just got the Stephan West painting shawls book. And so I looked in there. And so I did painting columns for the first section. And then I did some garter, which was nice and easy. A lot of these colors are referencing other bits in there. This is the exact same green I used before. This dark green I purchased, I did not have before, but I thought it referenced this color really well, because this I ran out of. I only have like little bits left. It would not have been enough to go back and forth on a border. These, the teal here was the same as I used in the rest, but I just didn't use it frequently. The only time I did use it was the back of brioche. So this color is the same as that. And then this yellow, I also ran out of the yellow, this gorgeous like hand-dyed one. So this is a commercial dyed baby yarn. I think it's Barocco, something like that. So both of these are the same, kind of yarn. The green is worsted. It's in fact this deluxe worsted right here, superwash. It's just in a different color. And the reason I've got this is because this is coming up in the next section. So these garter rows I just finished. And to be honest, at first you can see I did one row back and forth, and then one row back and forth in the next color. And I was like, I want the rows to be thicker. So then I decided to do 2 rows. So I did 2, 2, 2. And then just for symmetry, I went back to 1 and 1. And I think, I'm going to do one more section. Then I think I'm going to do another garter section. I've got to say, I'm probably going to do the exact same section, thing here, even though I like looking back and seeing the darker, the thicker lines, but I also like the idea of it being a mirrored image. So I can decide later if I want to do nothing but 2 garter bump stripes, but otherwise I might do the exact same thing. Right now I've got this light blue. Yeah, there you can tell. This light blue is different than like the teal that's here. This is not referencing any colors below because this section that you might like looking back think looks close, this is the exact color that I used in here. So those two are the same, and then this one's much brighter. So I'm gonna do painting squares instead of painting columns for this middle section, which means that my columns, like the pearl bumps, are going to be 5 across instead, and they're going to like zigzag a little. They're going to be squares rather than columns. So I've got some more of this light blue. I'm going to purl backwards with that, and then I'm going to knit some of these with this. But the rows are so long that I just chatting probably won't get there. But yeah, I wanted to show off, as I mentioned, some of the gift knits that I'm going to be giving to family members for Christmas. The first one I started maybe back in February, and I thought I would finish by, this is going to be for my niece, I thought I would finish by her birthday, but I did not. I had just gotten the eyes. So I'll show you. We've got a crocheted snake. Where's the other eye? There we go. Here's our crocheted snake. I feel like Britney Spears, right? So this is a pink crocheted snake because as of February, I asked her what her favorite animal was, and she said snakes. And her favorite color was pink, and she was mad that there were no pink snakes. And I just thought, well, that cannot do, can it? So I started this in February, and then her birthday was in June, and I still didn't finish because the eyes, like it took me forever to find eyes to really commit to it. Honestly, like I picked it up, I put it down for 2 months, I picked it back up, I put it back down for another 4 months, and finally, right before the mystery knit along, I started working on it again, and now I am so close to being done. If you can see, I ran out of stuffing. All I need is just to fill that up a little, and then I will be able to finish it up. So I'm very excited. I got the eyes from Etsy. I think they're very cute. With a 4-year-old, you can tell that it's very yes and, there's no subduing, saying, oh, well, let's go with something subtle. No, let's go with the bright pink eyes on the bright pink snake. So I'm very excited. I even had to ask for help to use safety eyes. I had never done that before. Luckily at my library knit group, there's a librarian who makes so many different like cute little origami items. Amigurumi items. And so she was a knack for this. I even brought in this little tool that I got from Etsy, and it didn't work. And I was worried it was me, and she couldn't get it to work. So that made me feel a little bit better. She instead made it work and figured out instead of using the tool to like clamp, she just used like a book and, leave it to a librarian. So thanks, Brittany. This is awesome. So finally at that point, then I could move past like here because I had the eyes. That's what at one point paused me for like 3 months. And then finally I got to do this. I went down a crochet size, like hook wise, I think like 2 or 3. So let's see. This is an I or a 9, a 5.5 millimeter. I'm less familiar with crochet to know like which terms are most frequently used. I think the letters are, if I remember correctly. So the eyes, I ended up using an eye, but I don't know if you can tell in the head, it's a much looser. Oh yeah, you can definitely see. So here's where the tighter gauge is, and that's where it's really loose. This was me going one under the recommended amount on the like ball band. And then I went crazy small in comparison. So yeah, but I'm happy with it. The one downside to making crocheted items for 4-year-olds is their opinions can frequently change. So for like a whole year, she was super into reptiles, and that's when, okay, let's do it. Let's commit to making this. It seems like she really likes reptiles. She has for like the past year. Let's do it. Then this year we've been hanging out, especially in the summer, a lot more. And dinosaurs are now the cool thing. Because before it was the less legs, the better, hence the snakes. And now she's like, well, actually, reptiles are pretty darn cool. I'm sorry, these are reptiles. Dinosaurs are pretty darn cool, which I agree. So the cool new thing is pterodactyls. And I don't have the crochet skills to make a pterodactyl. I can hardly spell pterodactyl. But either way, this is going to be a Christmas present for her, and I'm very excited. I'm just now remembering that I need to make a cute little like red tongue. Whether I do that out of red yarn or whether I do that out of felt, I'm not sure. But that, now that I'm looking at it, I'd like to give it a cute little traditional snake tongue. Nice little forked one. So this is my cute little crocheted snake, and soon enough I'll get some stuffing and I'll finish it off. Add that tongue. Bam. Hopefully coolest aunt of the year. Or, you know, she won't like it because she wants it to be a pterodactyl. Either way, whatever. I'm giving it away because who else wants a giant snake like that? Before I move on to Advent, I'm wearing Moon of My Life sweater. This is a free pattern, and I used Songbird yarn as well as Earth yarn, both of which give back in different proceeds ways, which is really fun. Songbirds, the proceeds go to birds. I think of Ontario. I think that's where the dyer's from. And Earth Yarns, if you're unfamiliar, this is the mono, excuse me. Oh, I have not used that crochet in a while. It is quite dusty. So this guy is a monochrome, I think is what it's called, Earth Yarns, which means that the white yarn like changes colors and varies a little, which is really fun. Also, Earth Yarns in general, when you buy a skein, they promise to plant a tree somewhere, which is really great. Especially because, you know, as knitters, it's really nice to give back in some way. And so if I can do that while still making an awesome sweater and getting a cool hobby, that's great. This yarn I got in Houston, Texas, visiting my mother-in-law at the time. Now I'm excited to talk about my Advent yarn. So we're going to go on a little adventure. So here we've got my Advent box. This is from Luxe. Life of a Yarn Goddess yarn, and I'm very excited. This one, instead of being 24, there we go. So this, instead of being 24 skeins of yarn, is a 12 set of fingering. And now I can knit now that I don't need to move the camera around. Whew. All right, so that is the Luxe yarn from Life of a Yarn Goddess, which is really fun. And they are fantastic. I've purchased different things from them, not their Advents before. But this one is a 12 day, and here I'll show you. So I purchased the sock yarn, and the sock yarn is 50 grams each. So I've got a bundle, 12 bundles of 50 grams each. And I wanted to chit chat about what I was thinking about doing. As mentioned, I have been enjoying making cardigans because they're like nice for when you go somewhere. You can, take off your cardigan and walk around, and then if you get cold again, you pop it back on. I just feel like it's so much easier when you go places in December or, really any winter time, that you have a cardigan on rather than like a pullover sweater, because the pullovers can get quite warm, especially if they're in DK. This, however, is in fingering, so it'll be a lighter cardigan, and it is a fade. So I have, put together a whole bunch of different things. There's even a bundle on Ravelry with a few different ideas. A lot of them are quite neutral, and then I just know that I would turn it into a fade. But I think I've decided on the Radvent cardigan. I'm excited about a cardigan. There's a lot of different pullover options. I also am one that I'd like to be making this in December as it happens. I know a lot of other people will open up their Advent yarn and then see what there is, find out what they want to make with it later, and then make something with it. That's totally awesome. I get that. I just know that I like the habit of every day in December making a little like step towards something. I also know that this is not like a cheap endeavor. Like, these Advents are usually very expensive, and this one was no exception. This one I think I bought 2 years ago, and I'm very excited about it, which means I want to make something that I know I'll wear. I don't necessarily want to make a scarf with it, which is great. I obviously could, but I have scraps that I could make a scarf with, you know? So I want to make a garment out of my Advent yarn. That's usually what I think about. There was one other year where I made an Advent project and I made a striped cardigan. I then ended up not liking the shoulders and frogging it, but it was a really nice thing. Like, I genuinely enjoyed every day, you know, sitting down, stitching, either watching a Christmas movie or listening to Christmas music and just being in the like festive spirit. And it was a nice little added bonus that at the time I thought, you know, by Christmas, I'd have a mostly finished garment, which is really fun. This time I'm doing the same kind of idea, although with 12 50-gram skeins. I know some, again, there are no rules, you know. You can open up your skeins and then make something in January or in May. You can try to keep up and do everything, and, you know, like, if you're not stressed, that's fine. But if you get stressed, take a minute, you know, breathe, go backwards. I, with the 12 little bundles, am going to give myself extra time. I'm still going to do this every day, and I'm going to start on the 1st and open up everything on even numbered days, which means that I open up on the 1st. I, you know, have 2 days to knit on 50 grams, and I don't even think the pattern's going to need me to consume all 50 grams. I've also decided that I'm going to have some, like, what is it, helical knitting before I alternate to the next color. So rather than like fading completely, I was thinking of, well, this is, you know, knit down. The Advent that I'm looking at, or the pattern that I'm looking at, goes sideways. So you actually knit back and forth and then, you know, seam it together in the armpits, I think. That's what I'm looking at. I haven't bought the pattern yet. I'm pretty sure that that's what it is, though. In fact, today I'm going to get the pattern and start working, if I need to, on like cuffs or something. But yeah, so when I finish with one day, I'm going to have to math it out to figure out how many centimeters is, you know, one bundle of yarn. I'm going to divide it by 12 to make sure that I've got everything. I think I'll have a lot extra, because the sweater goes, you know, vertical stripes across the arms. So I think I'll have a lot extra yarn in the sleeves, and then, you know, the body will consume a lot more yarn because you're getting a lot of physical surface area more. So I think when I switch colors going from one to the next, I liked the idea of doing the Fibonacci sequence, and so that one is the last two numbers added together makes the third number. So 1, 1, 2, 5, 8. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So and so on, 13. You know, so I think I'm going to, with like the color that I've just used, you know, have that be one section, and then the new color I'm going to do with the new color one stripe. And then the new color I'm going to do another one stripe. And then the new color I'm going to do 2 stripes, and then 3 and 5 and possibly 8. We will see, depending on how many, you know, big pieces of, big stripes of fingering weight. So that means with the new color being 1, the old color will be the last number of my Fibonacci sequence. So it'll be 1, 8, and then 1 again, and then 5, and then 2 and 3, and then 3 and 2 and 1. And so 1 will start to ramp up to become way more colors, and the other will dwindle down. So the old color will be 8, 5, 3, 2, 1, 1. And then the new one will be 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, which, I think will just make things fun. And instead of just going with like starting with 3 and then doing 1 and things like that, I think it'll make it a more seamless transition, as well as for me be like a fun nod that that's the Fibonacci sequence. I think it's fun that that's like a number sequence that shows up in nature, as well as just, in general, it's fun. When I was in high school, I wrote like this really long paper on Fibonacci and all of that. And I just always liked it. I'll often wear like nautilus earrings or like shells and things like that because it's the golden ratio. It's all that kind of stuff. It's just fun. So it's a nice way to like be fun in an Advent and things like that. So I think then I'm hoping, since I've got myself 2 days to like, get through one little package, the second day I will then have that second color. And so then I'll start integrating there. Hopefully, pretty early on, I will be done with the yesterday's color and then start moving towards the new day and then moving on and on and on. I will find out very quickly whether or not this is a reasonable amount of knitting in a day or if it is not. But I think no matter what, as long as I'm having a good time, I'm happy about it, and that makes me excited about Christmas. I'm one that enjoys, soaking up all the festivities and going to all the things and seeing, my friends and my family and Christmas lights and music and silly movies and hot cocoa and all that. So it's just another way to include like a fun thing in Christmas. I like Advents I enjoy just because it's, especially as an adult. I'm not sure about you, but it's very similar to New Year's Eve, where you get really excited about like all the excitement that's coming up, and then sometimes the day isn't actually like 100% awesome. It's woo. Which means that it's the season that's fun. So why not make the season great? The reason that I got this yarn, it was a few years ago, back when I had a little bit extra cash, and so treat yourself kind of vibes. And I was happy to do it. I'm really excited. I'm supporting, a hand dyer, which is fun. I'm going to get this gorgeous cardigan, I assume, out of it in the end. And I'm just going to get to knit on something that I like every single day of the year, of the month in December, which is just fun. But as soon as it gets stressful or I don't want to do it, if I pull the ripcord and bail, then I bail. Previously, as far as other Advents, I mentioned that I made a cardigan. One year, I also thought I would make granny squares. And this one was just like little scraps that I had assembled and traded with other people. And it was all DK weight, and I wanted the scraps to turn into granny squares. And so every day, I think my goal was to make 3 granny square blankets. I'm sorry, 3 granny squares, and then I would, stitch together and make a whole blanket. Now, if you're familiar with granny squares and really just any project that takes granny square kind of things, when you have so many squares and you don't want to, bind them together in the end, you have to determine what to do. So I think I got to about the 12th of December and looked, and I had enough color variations that I decided to take day 1 next to day 8, next to day 4, next to day 6, and seam some of them together. And I did like a crochet as you go binding. So there was one like color binding everybody. Hi. Yeah, little kisses. So I had one color binding everything together. Little mohawk. And I ended up getting quite far in the like binding everything together, and then I just lost steam. I ended up not being able to keep up with the knitting three squares. Life happened. It's just one of those things. But I now have like larger than like a pillowcase amount of things that are binded together. And one of these days, oh, and way more actual squares that just aren't finished. And one of these days I'll finish knitting, crocheting the rest of the squares, like in all the colors that I have, and then I'll bind them together. Yeah. Yeah, you're such a good girl. So it's just, sometimes it's unfinished projects. Yes, this one was an advent blanket and the other one was a cardigan that I ended up frogging, but I have projects like that anyway. I have projects that so before I started my mystery knit along, I was in the middle of a sweater. And as soon as it got to a point that wasn't just knitting in the round, and it got a little trickier, I was like, well, now this is no longer the like I can bring it to a museum and just kind of knit in the round. So I had to pivot and find a different project for that, which is why I think Musselburgh hats, that's probably why they're so popular, and I might make one soon. But yeah, so I have like 2 sweaters that are 85% done, and it's just a matter of getting that oomph and getting it to the finish line. For me, that's usually what January and February is all about. And then March, I usually start working on new projects. But we'll see. I don't know what this year is going to bring. So I'm really excited about my Advent. And if you want to watch my progress and see how my Radvent cardigan's going to go, I'm really excited because I feel like so many of the patterns that I saw are horizontal stripes, as they usually are. Here you can even see the color striping. It's, when you knit in the round, it's horizontal. So I'm excited that this is going to be a vertical striped kind of situation. And yes, it's a fade, so it's not like bold stripes. And in the future, I might make that rain or shine cardigan, as I talked about, with these kind of similar colors. Or I might try to make them as an advent later on. I'm not sure. If you are making any fun advent things, let me know. If you are making any gifts, let me know. If you're still working on the Stephan West blanket, I'm sorry, mine's a blanket, and on the Stephan West make-along shawl, let me know how that's going for you. This border for me is a slog. I'm sure it is for you as well. If you are still working on it. If you're finished, I'm so excited. Let me know, where are you wearing your new shawl to? What are you doing? What are you, how are you showing off? Yeah, so I'm really excited about this upcoming month, and I'm thrilled about it. And yeah, I'm hoping I can even bring this in the car, as well as maybe even bring it to Thanksgiving. So if you're in America, have a happy Thanksgiving. If you're anywhere that celebrates Thanksgiving, maybe you're, having a Friendsgiving, enjoy yourself and, have a great time. And I will see all of you in December when I start making my Advent project. If you'd like to see the Advent patterns that I thought about but didn't necessarily commit to, I'm going to put the link of my Ravelry bundle in there, so you can click to see that, and I will see you soon. I hope you have a lovely time and that you stay warm and that you are all cozy. So yeah, from my house to yours, enjoy your crafting, and remember, if it doesn't bring you joy, then step away from it. Take a break, because that's what this is all about. It's just about enjoying the process, Craft like you only live once. All right, from my house to yours, have a great day. Bye.